Hello and welcome to Why Can't I Meditate? I'm Deb Phelps from Peaceful Wellness, and if meditation has ever felt confusing, frustrating, or just not what you expected, you're not alone. My friends, have you ever noticed that there seems to be a little commentator living in your head? You make a mistake and there it is. You should have known better. Or you forget something and you hear, seriously. You look at your to-do list at the end of the day. Is that all you got done? Apparently, this particular commentator has plenty of time on their hands. And somehow they rarely show up to say, "Wow, Deb, excellent job remembering to take the laundry out of the washer." No, they seem to specialize in criticism. So today I want to talk about that voice we often call the inner critic and what meditation can teach us about listening to it without automatically believing everything it says. The inner critic can be remarkably convincing. It doesn't usually introduce itself by saying, "Hello, I'm about to offer you a completely subjective opinion." It just speaks. "You're not doing enough. You should be better at this. Everyone else seems to have this figured out. You always do this. You'll probably mess it up." Sound familiar? And because the voice is happening inside our own mind, we can mistake it for truth. But one of the things meditation teaches us is that a thought is not automatically a fact. I'm going to say that again. A thought is not automatically a fact. And that's a very important distinction. During meditation, we begin noticing thoughts coming and going. Some are useful, some are random, some are repetitive, some are, frankly, a little ridiculous. You can be peacefully following your breath, and suddenly your mind says, "Do we still have that container of mustard in the refrigerator? And where did that come from?" And yet 5 seconds later, another thought appears. You're not very good at meditation. Why should that thought automatically receive more authority than the mustard thought? They're both thoughts. They arose, we noticed them, and they will eventually pass. Now, I'm not suggesting that we need to get rid of the inner critic, because then we have another project, and we really don't need another project. I must eliminate all negative thoughts by Thursday. Well, good luck with that. Trying to force the inner critic to disappear can actually create another layer of struggle. So now we're criticizing ourselves for criticizing ourselves. Meditation offers a different possibility. We notice the voice, we recognize it. And instead of immediately following it down the rabbit hole, we create a little space. Oh, there's that voice again. That's very different from "it's right." You can hear a thought without agreeing with it. You can notice self-criticism without allowing it to define you. And here's something else worth considering. Sometimes that critical voice may actually believe it is protecting us. If I point out every possible mistake, maybe you won't make one. If I push you harder, maybe you'll succeed. If I remind you that people might judge you, maybe you'll be careful. So the intention may be protection, but the method, not particularly gentle. It's a little like having a personal coach. who follows you around all day shouting, "Don't mess this up." Well, that's not exactly or especially relaxing, right? And not necessarily hopeful. Mindfulness allows us to recognize the voice without making it the enemy. And we might even respond internally, "I hear you. Thank you for trying to protect me. But I don't need to speak to myself that way." And so that changes the relationship. So, one question I find helpful is, what else is true? So maybe the inner critic says, "You didn't get enough done today." What else is true? Maybe you handled something difficult. Maybe you rested because your body needed rest. Maybe you helped someone. Maybe you did 3 things instead of the 10 things you planned. Maybe you simply made it through a hard day. The purpose isn't to replace every negative thought with a positive one. We don't need to stand in front of the mirror chanting, "I am a productivity superstar." No, the practice is simply to widen the view. And the critic tends to give us one very narrow vision of the story. And mindfulness helps us remember that isn't the whole story. So here's this week's gentle practice. When you notice the inner critic speaking, pause. You don't need to argue with it. Simply recognize that's a critical thought. Then take one breath and ask, what else is true? Maybe another perspective appears. Maybe it doesn't. That's okay. The practice is simply recognizing that the first thought isn't necessarily the final word. Let's move into our short guided meditation. Find a comfortable position. Allow your body to settle. You may close your eyes if that feels comfortable, or soften your gaze. Take a slow breath in and gently breathe out. Again, breathing in and breathing out. Feel the support beneath your body. Let the shoulders soften. Relax the jaw. Allow the breath to return to its natural rhythm. Nothing you need to accomplish here. Nothing you need to prove. Simply notice the breath. Breathing in and breathing out. Now begin to notice the mind. You don't need to search for thoughts. They will probably arrive all by themselves. When a thought appears, simply notice thinking and gently return to the breath. Another thought may appear. Again, thinking and return. There's no need to judge what the mind produces. You are practicing noticing rather than automatically following. Now, if a self-critical thought arises, or if you can gently recall a small one from earlier today, notice how it feels. Perhaps the thought says, I should have. I didn't. I'm not. You don't need to finish the story. Simply recognize this is a critical thought. Take a breath and remind yourself this thought is not the whole story. Then gently ask, what else is true? And listen. Perhaps something comes. Perhaps nothing does. There is no need to force an answer. Simply making room for another possibility is enough. Now bring a little warmth to your attention. Perhaps silently offer yourself, may I speak to myself with kindness. Again, may I speak to myself with kindness. Not because you have done everything perfectly, not because you will never make another mistake, but because you are human, learning, changing, trying, beginning again. Take a slightly deeper breath. Feel the support beneath you. Notice the room around you. Gently move your fingers and toes. And when you're ready, open your eyes or lift your gaze. And so, friends, the inner critic may still show up, probably when you least need its assistance. We don't have to silence it, and we don't have to fight with it. And we certainly don't have to believe everything it says. We can notice, pause, breathe, and ask, what else is true? Because that critical voice may be part of your experience, but it is not the whole story. So you're warmly invited to join my free school community, where we explore meditation together and connect with others who are building a more mindful life. And coming for September, I have a free community program in the school community called Softening Inner Tension. If you're feeling frustrated, tense, overwhelmed, or emotionally worn down, this is a free 30-day experience that offers simple mindfulness and compassion practices to help you soften what you're carrying and create more ease. You can also access my audio meditation library on Palette for $5 a month, with meditation recordings from the past 60 days available anytime you'd like a practice to return to. You can find all this information at meditatewithdeb.com. I'm Deb Phelps, and this is Why Can't I Meditate? May you notice the voice of your inner critic this week, without forgetting there are other voices within you too, especially the quieter voice of kindness. I'll see you next time.